Would like to remind everyone to please make sure that all cell phones are turned to the off or vibrate position. Also, please be advised our city council meetings are broadcast on Comcast Channel 99, AT&T Uverse, and the City of Gadsden YouTube channel. This meeting of the Gadsden City Council will now come to order. The chair calls on City Clerk Ivan Nelson for the roll call.
Councilwoman Latham. Present. Councilman Smith. Here. Councilman Avery.
Here.
Councilman Back.
Here.
Councilman Wilson.
Here.
Councilwoman Minatra. Here. And Councilman Robinson.
Here.
We have a quorum present and our meeting is open for business. I'm going to ask Heath Williamson to lead the invocation. Please stand and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for your blessings. We thank you for Jesus most of all, Father, and the opportunity that we have to truly know you. We pray, Father, that you guide us and direct us at the business at hand. Father, help us to always know your will, never resist you or your will at any time, Father. Just help us to take full advantage of each and every opportunity you give us to honor and glorify your name. We give you all the praise. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Chair will entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the work session and city council meeting held on May 9th.
So moved. Second.
Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to approve minutes.
Item 6, the chair will entertain a motion to ratify payment of accounts for the week of May 5th through the 11th.
So moved. Second.
Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to ratify payment of the accounts.
Item 7 is reserved for proclamations and commendations. I believe we have one today.
Yes, sir, Mr. I'm on now. There we
you
go. Yes, sir, Mr. President. We have a proclamation for one of our famous citizens here in Gadsden,
That's right.
Alabama. So we'll give him a second to come on up to the podium, and then we'll recognize him for all of his achievements over the last few years. Mr. President, members of the council, it's my privilege to recognize Bill Avery, one of our famous citizens here in Gadsden, with a proclamation. I'll read it real quick. Mr. Bill Avery was born October the 11th, 1949 in Gadsden, Alabama, to William Avery and Cora Lee Avery. Bill Avery graduated from Carver High School in 1968, here we go, where he played the drums in the Carver High School band. After graduating, he started his music career with the Dynamics, a 13-piece band formed at the Carver High School that opened up for touring acts like Joe Simon. He then later started his own band called the Bill Avery and the Love Company. Talk to me. Bill Avery and the Love Company have played at Army bases and in venues from Denver to New York City. Bill bounced back into Etowah County and the nation at large with a few other acts like Bill and the Circles, and predominantly white band who recruited him in the late 60s to be their lead singer. They would tour playing at high school proms and local colleges for a number of years. He shared the stage with very famous musicians as the Bobby Bland, B.B. King, Patti LaBelle, The Temptations, and many, many more. Mr. Avery has the honor of performing at Riverfest twice here in Gadsden and established the Black Music Festival that was held on Tuscaloosa Avenue. He was inducted into the Alabama Blues Hall of Fame on April 29th, 2018. He recently signed a major recording contract with Music Access, Inc. out of Dallas, Texas. Bill Avery Band and the Review will be hosting a free concert at the Mort Glosser Amphitheater on Friday, May 19th, and everyone is invited to attend. Mayor Craig Ford of Gadsden, Alabama, he joins with the City Council on proclaiming Friday, May 19th, 2023 as Bill Avery Day. With the City of Gadsden, and we congratulate you on 55 years of performing, providing great music for all of us to enjoy. Then I'm going to let you talk. All right.
Thank y'all very much. What song can I sing? Well, anyway, I'd like to thank everybody, and the mayor and the city council for this. I've been doing this a long time, you know what I mean? So a lot of time I thought about giving it up, and, you know, over the years, you know, a lot of people say, man, you done got to be 75 years old, you still out here singing. I said, this is what I love to do. I said, but how many people can live this long and do things that they want to do and that they love? I love what I do, you know what I mean? And I love my city, too, Etowah County. Everywhere I go, I don't say I'm from Birmingham. I don't say I'm from here. I say I'm from Gadsden, Alabama. You know what I mean? So that's the way I am. Been that way all my life. And like I said, I enjoy doing what I'm doing. I want to invite everybody to come out to check my show out. I might be 75 years old, but I can still dance and do the split. Well, thank y'all very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Congratulations. All right, item 8 on the agenda is unfinished business. 8A is a resolution ordering abatement of nuisance on property at 235 North 6th Street in District 3. This resolution was tabled for 30 days on April 11th. There's a recommendation from the building official to adopt the resolution. What is the pleasure of the council?
Mr. President, I'm calling for indefinite table. There's been progress made to the current address, and they're still working on it as we're speaking. The open session of the home has been enclosed. There's a roof that is being repaired and some other things, but we do have the homeowner here. If we will make way, she can give an update also to that, as I've already spoken to the building department about this issue.
All right. At this time, we'll hear from the homeowner. And ma'am, if you will, if you'll pull that microphone down just a little bit so we can hear you. If you'll give your name and your address, please, for the record.
I'm Zelamina Owens Johnson, 235 North 6th Street, Gadsden. As Councilman Avery said, yeah, there has been improvement done. The opening that was on the side has been repaired. A tarp has been placed on the roof. And I mean, it's coming along. It's looking pretty good to me. I'm satisfied with it. I haven't talked to anyone, you know, to see what else has to be done, but this is going to be an ongoing thing. You know, we will continue to make improvements and do what we need to do.
So the tarp is on the roof, is that correct?
Yes.
And that sounds to be probably the most pressing issue, I would think. So do you have plans to remove the tarp and replace the roof?
As funds and time allows, yes. But the way the tarp is on, I mean, the way he put it on is, well, he guaranteed me it was pretty good. It's not just laying on top of it.
Oh, sure.
It's not, you know, it is, I don't know if he used glue. I don't know what he used, something that adheres it. So.
I guess I should be more specific. I mean, do you have a plan to replace the tarp? I mean, will there be an actual roof on the building? And if so, do you have a time?
I do not. I do not have a time, as I said, when time and funds allow.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So I can speak to funds a little bit to the registry. So what the idea is, this is a historical landmark in the city of Gadsden, speaking directly for District 3. It is an with the state registering it and going through the protocol, there are funds available that will bring this landmark to as much to its original state as possible to create a possible museum where people can go in and actually tour. As it relates to the building department, through weather and its aging, there was a big opening. One, you can actually see inside of one of the rooms from the highway, from the street. And so that was one, it was recommended to work from the roof down. And so as of right now, again, that roof, yes, tarp will be temporary. I will get with Ms. Johnson on a time for, I guess, more definite time, because of course we got to work. She has to work close with the building department to satisfy the city requirements. But the biggest part was that outside of the roof was the opening, the room that you can see into. And so that is enclosed in. So she is meeting after speaking to the building department this morning. That was a recommendation to do it indefinite, so that we won't keep revisiting this with expectations that the homeowner will continue to do work. However, if that becomes void, where that they're ceasing on work and it continues to be a blight or continue to be a problem, we will revisit and bring it back for abatement.
All right, thank you.
And if I could just throw a little bit out there, I was pretty heavily involved in the process with the old Coca-Cola building, and with a third party that utilizes state and federal tax credits for historic property, historic tax credits. In some instances, a good workaround is if you don't have the funds to necessarily make the improvements up front, there are companies out there that value those tax credits. And so there is a scenario where you could sell the property to a third party. They do all the improvements. They claim those tax credits, which are very valuable to them, and then they sell you the property back at the lower price. You know, so in other words, let's say it was going to cost $1 million to bring that building up to perfect and make it shiny and brand new. Well, with these tax credits, you can take that cost down to $500,000, you know, with getting those tax credits. So what would happen is, rather than you having to come up with $500,000, you sell the property to a third party. They spend $1 million to bring it up. They get $500,000 back in tax credits. They put that in their pocket, and then they sell you the business, or the building back at $500,000. You know, and you can go get a traditional mortgage, you know, with a group on that. So anyway, my point is, there's companies out there that do it, that have the money to go do it right now, because they just want to take the tax credits. So they'll take the tax credits and then turn around and sell you the building back at half the price, because they got to keep the other half of the money. It might be a way to get it done quicker.
Yeah.
But
And to speak to why this is continuing on, and why this thing be important. Again, this is a historical landmark in the city. Obviously, this Ms. Johnson and her other family members have reached out to help to figure out what to do to save this property. I'm not sure what happened with the the previous, but I'm a history person. I love history, and to know the history of that home, and then to eventually see it as a possible museum, another item and jewel in this city that we can preserve. That's the reason why. And so it is different from just a home that is a regular residential home that is sitting in a community that has been abandoned and so on, and we're tearing it down, compared to the legacy and the history of this museum. And maybe one day we can create an event where that history and legacy can be spoken, where people can be educated on why we're trying to save this as well.
Sure.
All right.
So the request is for an indefinite, oh, I'm sorry, Councilwoman Latham.
That's what I was about to ask. So are you asking for an indefinite extension?
So-
or is that an indefinite extension with it being monitored?
So-
that something is happening?
So we're looking at an indefinite table, and then the terms within that I asked is that, of course, the building department will keep an eye on it, and we'll work in conjunction to make sure that progress continues. And Ms. Johnson has been doing just that, because again, not having, I guess, what she needed from the city to help be consistent has, I guess, been the issue, one of the issues over the years. So I'm going to definitely be one that's going to help with the movement of this, the continuous movement of it. So,
Councilman Avery, through that process, is there a process in place to make the structure an actual certified historical landmark?
Yeah.
So
So
that's-
Ms. Johnson has the email and the contact of the register, I guess, for lack of terms, director. And so all she has to do is submit that paperwork. We're working on, with that paperwork, will be a video giving some history, which will help. And then the federal only do registrations twice a year. And so in the meantime, we're going to also try to work in conjunction with the submission of federal to, I'll go ahead and try to knock two birds out at one stone.
Okay.
With one stone. But yes, the paperwork is in process to be submitted to Montgomery for state registry.
All right, I just want to, I think along with Councilwoman Latham's question, I want to make sure that we have that the city has some kind of, what's the word I'm looking for, ability to not only to monitor, but to take action, just in case, worst case scenario, nothing ever happens, like it doesn't get certified as a National Historic Landmark, and there's no funds, and it's been sitting there for 6 to 12 months with a blue tarp on the roof, and it's next to Megan Boulevard, which 40,000 cars a day go by. So I just want to make sure we've got some triggers in there that'll, I think we all want to see it become a museum and be a historical landmark. That's
Well,
no
no
question.
one up here will monitor it more than I will. This is what I see every day. This is the community that I live and serve. So I will make sure that's the reason why, since we've been here since day one and this issue have come up, I've been on top of it. And I've been asking for a continuous table until today as an educated on to do it indefinitely, because we want to make sure that we proceed and continue to proceed in ending the blight, and to making it registered and making it available for its historical purpose.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
So
Well, I appreciate
we will do that.
appreciate your
And
work on
again,
that.
at any given time, if there's not progress on it, then the building
It's coming
department
back.
can represent this as an abatement.
Absolutely.
Can I say one more thing?
Yes, ma'am, please do.
Actually, it's not a blue tarp. It actually looks like a roof. I have pictures of it. It doesn't really stand out anymore like it did.
Oh, okay.
I mean-
But last time I thought it was the blue tarp, so I apologize. I
You
thought
didn't
it,
see a blue tarp.
think it's-
I have pictures. I couldn't print them out. I have them on my phone. But the side is again siding. You can't tell that there was a hole there. And the tarp is it's brown, and it's actually the same color as the roof.
okay, so
So
it is.
it doesn't
all right.
really stand out.
Okay. And you know, I guess most tarps I see are blue.
Oh, they are.
But
I had to
just.
special order them, yes. I
Yes,
did.
ma'am. So that's, but keep in mind, I mean, a tarp is not a roof. It's designed as a temporary. So,
I know it's temporary, but if you saw it, you would. It's not just a regular tarp. No.
okay. I'll
We'll
drive
call
by.
it a tarp,
I know exactly where it's located. I'll drive by
Okay.
and
Well,
look
please
at it.
do.
And I trust Councilman Avery. He's going to be monitoring, and this
Okay.
council and the building department will do what we need to do if
All right.
we need to do anything.
Okay.
And good luck. We're all pulling for
I just want you to get a
you.
clear understanding, that's all.
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Can I
Thank
say
you.
something, Mr. President?
Yes, sir, Councilman Smith.
I would just like to just add real quick to Ms. Johnson as well. In the event that it does come up again, one of the best things I learned from being here at City Hall is that the abatement is not only about the structure. Sometimes we ride around and we look at particular buildings, and the abatement has a whole nother component to it other than the physical structure, even though it can, sometimes appear to be up to par. Part of that abatement, another component to that is it safe? Is anybody living in it? Any kind of paraphernalia, any children around that have access to that building? So just want you to keep those things in mind as well, and not just so much focusing on the physical structure itself, because that abatement component has a whole lot of moving pieces to it other than just the way that it looks. So just want to add that, just in case. I hope it doesn't come up again and everything is get fully remodeled the way it's supposed to be. But I just want to throw that in, because I know when I first got elected, I was coming here every week. I went and looked at a property, it looked good. I went and looked at a property, everything is there, and didn't realize there was a whole other component to that abatement. So I want to add that. But good luck with the project as well. If anything we can do, let us know. Thanks.
All right, so we have a motion for indefinite table from Councilman Avery. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to table the resolution for an indefinite period, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to table indefinitely.
Move to adopt.
No, we already.
We didn't
We didn't
I'm
have to
sorry.
make it considered.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about
Yeah.
Thank
yeah.
you. All right, agenda item 9 is a resolution awarding bid number 3514 for 10 2023 Chevrolet Silverado 1500 police pursuit vehicle trucks for the police department. The NEAPA coordinator has recommended the bid be awarded to Donahue Chevrolet LLC, and the amount is $455,767.40. The chair will entertain a motion to adopt this resolution.
So moved.
Is there any discussion? Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to adopt the resolution, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to adopt.
Item 10 is a resolution appointing members to Public Building Authority. This appoints Echo Byers for a term expiring August 1st, 2023, Mike McElhaney and Myra Reagan for terms expiring August 1st, 2025, and Rita Smith for a term expiring on August 1st, 2027. The chair will entertain a motion to adopt this resolution.
So moved.
Is there any discussion? Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to adopt the resolution, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to adopt.
Agenda item 11 is a resolution authorizing purchase from Traffics Logics Corporation through the State of Alabama Omnia Partners Public Sector National Cooperative Purchasing Alliance contract. This authorizes purchase of 10 Evolution 12 FM radar signs with solar panels, and the amount is $33,110. The chair will entertain a motion to adopt this resolution.
So moved.
Is there any discussion? I just want to point out that the city's investing $33,000 in radars because we have a speeding problem. We have trash problems. We also have speeding problems. So please be aware of your speed when you're in our neighborhoods, and really when you're on all streets, but especially in neighborhoods. Summer's here. We're going to see a lot of kids on bicycles and whatnot, so a lot more traffic out on our streets. Please be careful, and please drive slowly. Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to adopt the resolution, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to adopt.
Item 12 is a resolution authorizing agreement with Goodwin Mills Kaywood LLC. This is for design services and consultation related to the assessment and programming of the Mort Glosser Amphitheater, and the amount is $33,000. The chair will entertain a motion to adopt this resolution.
So moved.
Is there any discussion? Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to adopt the resolution, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to adopt.
I'm sorry, Council President, you kind of moved quick on there. I was reading and I missed the opportunity for comment. I just want to say this. The members of this council received a letter from a concerned citizen last week about the lack of historic planning for historical preservation in the town. I just want to address that is a component of our agreement with Goodwin Mills Kaywood for our long-term strategic plan. There is a component of that addresses historic property, and this specifically is something that we have engaged with Goodwin Mills to talk about the long-term strategic use of the historic Mort Glosser Amphitheater. So this is just one example of the city absolutely looking at our historical properties. Obviously, you saw us just table a nuisance abatement issue indefinitely on a property that will potentially be added to the historic registry. So it's not entirely accurate to say that the city doesn't have a plan in motion to address preservation of our historic properties, and this particular resolution is just one example of that. That's all.
Thank you. I appreciate that. All right. Item 13 is ordinance. This comes under the first reading. Ordinance authorizing tax increment financing funds for expenditures related to agenda item number 12, and the amount is $33,000. This ordinance has been presented today for the first reading. The council will vote on it next week. Did we put this in to be voted on today in our pre-council folder?
We could vote today if you have a motion and second and unanimous vote to suspend the rules.
I guess since it's TIF funds, we have to have a first reading.
Basically, because it's an ordinance, you typically have a first reading and vote the next week. So it would take a unanimous consent vote to consider today.
Do we need to take action? No? The mayor's office says there's no need to take action.
You awarded the bid, so the project will move forward. We hope that next
Just wait till next week.
Well, we just adopted the resolution,
I
so
mean, I don't have any objection to considering it. No.
does anybody have any objections to considering this today?
Mr. President, I'd make a motion that we suspend the rules and consider this ordinance under new business, which would authorize the transfer by appropriating $33,000 into the capital project Mort Glosser Amphitheater account.
Second. All right, clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to consider the ordinance today at its first reading, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? We have a unanimous vote for immediate consideration.
And again, just to clarify for those following along in the audience and live, we just authorized an agreement with Goodwin Mills K. Wood for this strategic planning and programming for the Mort Glosser Amphitheater. All this is a companion ordinance that actually transfers the money in our budget to pay for that agreement. So that's all we're doing here. So with that in mind, I would move to adopt.
Second. All right, clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to adopt the ordinance, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries to adopt.
I want to further comment on that, Councilman Wilson. Thank you for that. This is a 1933 structure, and I think in recent days or weeks, we've had some, not studies done on it, but we've looked at it, I guess, from a engineering standpoint. There are some issues that need to be addressed, and the sooner the better. So I think it was wise to go ahead and move forward. We're not going to pick up and move that amphitheater. We're not going to tear that amphitheater down. It is with us forever. And so we just need to make sure that it's structurally sound, and that's what this will accomplish. That's what this will help to accomplish. It's a one-of-a-kind structure. It's beautiful. It's all, we've got that in Nakalula Falls, and nobody else has either one of those type things. So we're proud of it and glad to get that done today. All right, item 14 is new business.
Yes, Mr. President, I have a couple of items. The first one coming from the engineering department. This is authorizing an application for the fiscal year 2024 Transportation Alternatives Set-Aside Program for the downtown area sidewalks. This is something that the city of Gadsden has been able to take advantage of, these 80-20 grant match programs for several years now to improve our sidewalks in the downtown area. This specifically is important. Last year, I believe, we pursued one of these grants to address a major issue, which is the route from the Holy Comforter building specifically is one major area, down past the United States Postal Service, down to the Johnson's Giant Foods, which is the only locally accessible, pedestrian accessible grocery store for a lot of these elderly folks that live in our community. And the fact of the matter is that the sidewalk system was not what it needed to be, and so what we ended up seeing, this being in my district and on my way home every day, I would see it quite often. You would see elderly folks maybe in motorized wheelchairs that were actually having to ride down the roadway because they didn't have a safe sidewalk to get back and forth to the grocery store or get back and forth to the United States Postal Service to mail their mail. And so we started this project a couple of years ago to try to improve that area so that it would be safe for pedestrians in the downtown area. And this is just an extension of that. This will actually build on what we've already approved in the 2022 budget that will allow us to extend those sidewalk improvements another several blocks down Chestnut and in between Chestnut and Broad Street. So with that in mind, the cost of this project is $385,000. The total cost of the project is over $1 million, and again, the city will pay 20% of that, and the 80% of that would come as a grant from the Department of Transportation. So with that in mind, I would like to ask that we suspend the rules and consider this resolution under new business in order to meet a deadline with the application process.
All right, the second. Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to consider the resolution under new business today, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Consent has been granted.
Move to adopt.
Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to adopt the resolution, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to adopt.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have one more. This is a resolution, or excuse me, an ordinance coming from the Finance Department. And just as I explained with our agreement with the Mort Glosser Amphitheater just now, when we do things like this, we have to basically take two actions. One is an action approving the agreement to study the viability and the improvements necessary at the amphitheater. And then the second is the actual technical accounting part where we approve the transfer of the money in the budget. So this is along those same lines. You guys noticed that earlier in the meeting, we approved the purchase of 10, or the bid to purchase 10 new trucks for the police department. This is the companion ordinance that actually transfers that money into an account so that we can actually pay for those trucks. So what this is amending our fiscal year 2023 budget for the purchase of 10 2023 Chevy Tahoe 1500 PPV trucks for the police department. And the total amount is $455,767.40. With that in mind, I would ask us to suspend the rules, Mr. President, and consider this under new business.
There's a second. Councilman Smith. All right, clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to consider the ordinance as an item of new business today, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, we have a unanimous vote for immediate consideration.
That's all I have, Mr. President.
You got moved to adopt, I think, right?
Oh, I'm sorry, move to adopt. I apologize.
Take
All
it
right.
home.
Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to adopt the ordinance, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to adopt.
All right, are there any other items for new business?
Yes, Mr. President, I have one requested by Building Maintenance, authorizing a maintenance agreement with Chad's Heating and Cooling. He's going to perform weekly maintenance and inspections to the broiler and the chiller here at City Hall, and that amount is for $500 a month, and he will be doing weekly inspections. He'll be doing, checking like the exhaust fans, all pumps, the chiller, the cooling tower, the water levels, fans, the controls and the alarm, and the pressures and the temperature. So he's just basically going to do weekly maintenance just to make sure that thing is running correctly. I'd like to suspend the rules and ask for immediate consideration on this.
Second.
All right, clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to consider the resolution as an item of new business, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, consent has been granted.
Move to adopt.
Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to adopt the resolution, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to adopt.
All right, I think that concludes new business. Item 15 is department reports, committees, and boards. Do we have any of those this morning? If not, I have one from Kay Moore with Downtown Gadsden Incorporated, DGI. She's asked me to read, Main Street, Alabama is bringing Joe Borgstrom of Place Plus Main Advisors, Lansing, Michigan, to downtown Gadsden this Thursday and Friday, May 18th and 19th, to work on the creation of a real estate redevelopment plan. He will focus on identifying potential reuse for vacant and underutilized properties in downtown, and it will also include a downtown retail market analysis and the evaluation of several downtown buildings. This is made available through a federal grant from the U.S. Economic Development Administration that was received by Main Street, Alabama, in partnership with Opportunity Alabama and the Business Council of Alabama. Part of the program includes a public walking and visioning tour that will take place on Thursday, May 18th at 6 p.m. We will meet at 501 Broad Street in front of the Mary G. Hardin Center for Cultural Arts to look at 3 or 4 properties on Broad. This will allow you to share your thoughts and ideas of appropriate businesses for the district. So consider this your invitation to join us this Thursday, May 18th at 6 p.m. It's a great way to let your voice be heard. So anyone that has any interest in joining Kay Moore and DGI and our new friend from Lansing, Michigan, there's your invitation, Thursday, 6 o'clock. Any other reports, departments? All right, we'll move to remarks by mayor and council. Brett, do you want to speak on behalf of the mayor? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Quick thing, positive news, Councilman Wilson and those of you in that area. We heard back from the contractor working on South 11th. All utilities have been relocated and they are set to continue construction on South 11th this week. Heath, do you have a more up-to-date update with that?
Just to kind of piggyback, so the contractor's here. He's working with some of the utilities, getting everything set in place. We expect, unless I hear otherwise, the detour will likely be put back in place tomorrow and physical construction resume. So he is here, working and setting it up. So we're glad to see that.
We'll get an announcement out to make sure everyone's aware. Just want to share that.
Again, obviously, Heath and Brett, I'm sure the mayor's office has probably heard from this, but we have a couple of concerned businesses down there that are really watching that detour schedule. So,
yes, I understand. The community survey for the Grow Gadsden Comprehensive Plan is out there, online, accessible on the City of Gadsden's Facebook page, Mayor Ford's Facebook page, and the city website. We're asking everyone to please share that with your constituencies, with your networks. We need as many individuals responding, getting some really good quality feedback from that our planners are going to work to incorporate into our comprehensive plan. So please complete that survey. I want to reiterate, this Friday, May 19th, Bill Avery's in concert at the Mort Glosser Amphitheater. It's a free concert, open to the public, sponsored by the mayor's office, so we invite everyone to attend. And then on May 27th, we'll be also at the Mort Glosser Amphitheater, the Mayor's Memorial Day Bash, featuring Eddie Montgomery of Montgomery Gentry. John, we still have tickets available. So purchase them now, Parks and Rec website. Great way to kick off the summer. Thank you.
I'm going to piggyback on the South 11th Street. Heath, I had a citizen call me yesterday, and they took the detour. They, I think, thought that maybe the road was blocked, so they took the detour that we've outlined for everybody, and they hit a pothole, and it took a chunk out of their tire. So, I've taken that detour, and it's a pretty narrow road. Maybe if we could drive that and see if apparently there are potholes, maybe we could fill those in, because people are going to be driving those streets that don't typically drive them. So that might be something, because I know we can be liable for pothole or tires and things if they can make an application. Maybe we can head a few of those off by filling in a pothole or two.
Out of the frying pan and into the fire, Heath.
That's right. It's never safe. All right, Councilman Robinson, we'll start with you.
Mr. President, I don't have anything today.
Nothing today from Lockaloola Falls? Okay,
no,
thanks.
everything's running smooth. Everything's running great.
Good deal. Way to go. Councilwoman Manatra.
I just wanted to announce that we will have a Public Works Committee meeting a week from tomorrow at 9 o'clock. And that meeting will be to finalize a pretty comprehensive communication to all residents, basically related to our garbage, our trash, our cameras, and everything that relates to recycling. So we're hopeful that we will complete that communication and be able to share it with the public. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Wilson.
Yes, Mr. President, just a couple of things. You guys, if you were following along today, we approved the purchase of several of these radar systems, solar-powered radar speeding systems. So those will begin, once they come in, we'll start deploying those out into the community, and they can be relocated occasionally to different communities. So I've received some calls from constituents about speeding on their streets, so just know that we've responded to that. We've ordered these radar systems, and they will be going into the communities as soon as they arrive. I'm not exactly sure what the timeline is, but I think they'll be here pretty quick, and we can start deploying those. So help is on the way for some of those folks on 4th Avenue and Harrelson and some other folks that have contacted me about excessive speeding in their neighborhoods. The other thing is this community survey that we just talked about. I've shared that a few times on my social media, and I know everybody else up here has too. This is critical, guys. We've talked about, for the last 5 years, I've heard everybody talk about how Gadsden didn't have a long-term master plan. We didn't have a long-term vision. And why doesn't the city do this? And why doesn't the city do that? This is your chance. This is the chance for you to fill out that form and say, this is what I would like to see the city do. This is what I think the city could benefit from. This is what I think the citizens could benefit from. So I'm telling you, man, if you don't do it, I don't want to hear it. If you don't take the time to go click on a link and fill out a 3-minute survey, these people are desperate for your feedback. They want to actually hear what you have to say, and it will have an impact on how we plan for the future of this city. So if you don't take the time, you know, I think the best saying I've ever heard is, what good's a cynic with no better plan? You can't just sit around and say, we need this, we need that, we need this. Here's your chance to actually put pen to paper and get that information in front of the people who are making a long-term strategic plan. So please, 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 despite what everybody might think, we really do want to hear what citizens have to say. Take 5 minutes, fill this survey out, and I promise you it'll have an impact over time. That's all I have, Mr. Oh, also, I am going to razz Councilman Robinson a little bit. It's a boiler, not a broiler. I know you're in the restaurant business, but it's a boiler.
Didn't even realize I did that. I mean, if you wouldn't have brought it up, I would have never known.
I want to point out Councilman Avery had told me prior that he had a previous appointment at 11:45, which is why he stepped out of our meeting. So, Councilman Smith.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. District 2, we have a community meeting on tonight at 6 p.m. at the East Gadsden location. I like to document the concerns that we get. I like documentation. So at the previous meeting, that's been roads, that's been the flooding, the dog issue. I think somebody's already made calls to City Hall about dogs, the abatement schedules, and parks. So if anybody can come and answer some of those questions, it would be great. I think I sent that information on last week to some of those departments. So that'll be tonight at 6 p.m. Just want to thank the mayor again and the mayor's staff. I think you all are doing an amazing job here at City Hall, so I'd like to give you a shout out. And so you actually continue the great work that you're doing, and the council as well. We appreciate this team and working together. We're trying to make our city better, and I think we'll better look back and really see the fruit of that in just a little while. Also, Councilman Wilson has promised to rap at Bill Avery's concert, so I'm looking forward to that as well, Councilman. You already put it out there. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Councilwoman Latham.
I just have one thing, and I failed to do this last week because of the sake of time. Myself and a representative from the mayor's office in Melcy-Guyton had the opportunity to share with Stripling Elementary for their career day. I just want to give a shout out to Miss Valerie Taylor, who's the counselor there. Those young people were dressed in certain different professions and all, and just the enthusiasm at that young age. It was a great day. We were able to share that opportunity with her, and I just want to say kudos to Miss Taylor and Stripling for an amazing career day. And the QR code for the survey is also on our Tanya Lynn Latham campaign page for those in our district as well as in the city. You can go and hit that and do that survey. Thank you.
Well, and Councilwoman Latham, because Stripling's in my district, I will defend myself a little bit. I tend to stay away from those career days since I'm a guy that makes beer for a living. I don't. It doesn't always fit in with the elementary school message. So I'm proud of what they did over there, and thank you for attending.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Councilwoman Latham and Councilman Wilson. That's probably a good idea. All right, I just want to mention, I want to say thank you to the Gadsden Fire Department. The Salvation Army had our roadblock. It was our Christmas roadblock that we had in May because it rained us out in December. So you guys, Chief, are always there for us. Not only do you help us with our roadblock, but you contribute to the Salvation Army greatly with your own roadblock fund. So we want to thank you publicly and all the firemen that came to stand in the middle of Rainbow Drive with the rest of us and receive money. I want to thank the citizens that gave money. I think we collected around $5,372, and there's probably in like 11 cents because you get a bunch of pennies and nickels and stuff. But it's a great day, and it's fun to see how people have positive comments about the Salvation Army. Just so you know, Salvation Army is the only men's shelter in a 5-county area. Other counties, I guess through the pandemic, have just abandoned their shelter for maybe funding issues or whatever reason. So we're it. A lot of counties send their homeless to the Salvation Army in Gadsden. Our feeding has more than doubled along with our lodging, and it's amazing what that group does. I serve on the advisory board, but that's it. I just give advice. I'm not rolling up my sleeves as much as the actual workers are. So a big thank you to those people who pour their lives into other people's lives that are maybe a little less fortunate right now. So thank you to the Salvation Army. And speaking of which, tonight's the annual banquet for the Salvation Army at 6 o'clock at the venue. Alabama's football player and current team chaplain Jeremiah Castile is going to be the speaker. We've already sold tickets, but if somebody's just dying to come, I think we can make room for you. But that's going to be a good night. I've heard Jeremiah speak recently, and he has a wonderful testimony, and is just one of the good guys that we have helping our young people. He's been the team chaplain at Alabama for 22 years. And so he's an excellent person. We look forward to welcoming him to our city and to our banquet tonight. And then last but not least, the City Council and some of the mayor and the mayor's staff were in Birmingham last week for the annual Alabama League of Municipalities annual meeting. Our mayor, Craig Ford, was duly elected to the board of the Alabama League, and that's a really big deal. So I appreciate Mayor Ford being willing to serve in that capacity. I think that'll help our city. The Alabama League does a lot of work for cities all across the state. There's 436 cities that are members of the Alabama League, and so they advocate for us in Montgomery. They're a legal resource. It's just it was formed in 1936. It's just a great organization. We're proud to be a part. Very proud that our mayor is serving on that board. And we went to classes and sessions and learned quite a bit. You always learn something that you don't know. And so it was, I think, time well spent, and was a good time to learn more about how cities operate and some of the best practices of other cities. So if there's no further comment from the council, we will stand adjourned. Thank you.